Whew. One.
You know what? You just made the list.
There we go. I wish it was smoother. My bad. That's probably a way to do it. That's yeah, I figure it out. But Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey here. Brandon Spivey here. Welcome back to the Mark Out Movie Podcast, when we give you the best episode of the year with the best and worst films of 2023. Don't you love that enthusiasm, Aaron? Is that what you're asking for?
With 5 honorable mentions for the best,
Oh,
as we
God.
did. But we're doing 10 worst. Let's get into it. This list was pretty hard for me to come up with. I had to move some things around, and there was a lot of bad movies I think. There's a lot of good movies I think too. So not everything made my list. So I'm excited to see what you got. This is one of my favorite shows of the year, for sure. So let's get into it with our. Let me get my banner. Here we go. We're going to start with the top 10 worst movies 2023. Our list. This is our list. You want to start it off?
Yeah, I can start. I had to change my number 10. Kevin Bacon showed up, so he saved it for me from putting it on the list.
I know what you're talking. I know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I told you like that. You like that cameo.
But House Party makes my number 10 list. I actually forgot this movie came out.
Me too. I forgot about it. I didn't even have it. It's not even on my list.
It wasn't going to make mine, but Kevin Bacon showed up and took the other movie out, which I'm expecting that to be in your best list. But for me, it didn't work. And that's Leave the World Behind. I wanted to leave the movie behind. I didn't.
What is 10? What is 10 for you then?
It was House Party.
It's House Party.
Yeah.
10 for me is a movie that everybody loves. So I didn't. Barbie.
What? Oh, now I thought I watched this yesterday. I had such a great time with it. I only watched it to put it on my worst films of the year list, though. It just didn't work out for me.
Didn't work out.
That's crazy. That's
for
crazy.
me, the reason why this made my worst list is it's simple. I just was really like the best feature of the film, and I know you probably made it on your list, so I'm not gonna dwell on it, but I'll just dwell on the negative for me. Is I felt like the best thing I like is obviously Ryan Gosling. He killed it. Margot Robbie did great, but Ryan steals the show. Like you're gonna get into it later. But I just didn't. I thought that the comedy in it, like especially when we went to the real world, Will Ferrell and stuff, I thought it was too cartoonish. It just didn't know what theme it wanted to hit. And it just like it didn't really. A lot of jokes didn't really land for me. So that's why Barbie is number 10 on my worst list. Brandon, next to you, you're next.
Number 9 for me is it's not even really a John Travolta led film. He's barely in it. It's more of a Stephen Dorff led film, but it's Mobland. It came out sometime this year. It's dreadful. It wants to be that Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine movie that came out a few years back. Sweet something. But anyway, it plays out like that a little bit. But it was just dreadful, boring, dull, you name it. It was really a hard watch.
All right, number 9 for me is a movie that I think you was anticipating this year. Meg 2, The Trent. It made my worst list. Actually, what's crazy about it is I actually enjoyed the first one. I surprisingly enjoyed it, especially after revisiting it. and getting out of my head, it's not going to be Jaws. It's going to be a different shark movie. Let me just go ahead and go into it. And I lean into the Jason Statham and the campy characters around it. So yeah, I end up liking it. But the second one, the sequel, oh man, it was just frustratingly difficult to get through, and it just made my worst list, made number 9.
Make my list on either. I had a lot of fun with it though. I think it's a much better film than the first one. It's more fun to me. But I had some issues with it. But it doesn't follow the book. That's my big issue. But I can't get mad if you put it on your worst list. I couldn't get mad if you put it on your best list. I didn't put it on either. It was just because I didn't feel like it was a good movie, but it was a fun movie to me. So I did things a little different this year. I wasn't biased with my list this year. So that was your number 9.
Number 9, yes sir.
Number 8 for me. Please kill this franchise. Please. The Nun 2. I hate this movie. I hate the first movie. I want her to go away. I want her to die. Please kill off the Nun franchise.
It's funny you said that because number 8 for me is the Nun 2. Like, no kidding. So we matched on that one. We both equally hated that movie. I felt it was a waste of time, a waste of talent. With what's her name? Not Famke, but her sister. Whatever.
Is it Tessa? I don't remember.
Yeah. But I think she's a terrific actress, and and I feel like this movie was just so terrible. I think this is one of the worst times I had in the movie in a movie theater this year was that viewing of that movie. Honestly. So.
Yeah. Well, since that's your 8, I guess I can go to number 7. The comedy Mafia Mama. Oh man, I wanted to leave so bad. I actually saw that in the theaters. I wish I hadn't. It was the most unfunny movie I've seen all year. House Party was bad, but this takes the cake, man. It's just terrible. And Toni Collette, she's better than this. She's just better.
Yeah,
needs to fire her agent or something. She deserves better than this.
Yeah. Toni Collette, which she did. She had such a great, outstanding role in Hereditary.
Yeah.
It's hard to see her take a step backwards with this role. I didn't see the movie, but just from the trailer, and I don't really do trailers, but just from the trailer and what I saw, I was not interested. So, all right, number 7 for me is one that I've seen on Prime. I think actually Shudder to be more specific. It's called Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. It's an updated tale of Frankenstein, where a girl's brother is killed, gunned down in gang violence, and instead of letting him, and she's super smart, and she feels that death is a disease that needs a cure, and so she reanimates her dead brother, and you think, oh, he's gonna be a killer monster, killer machine, gonna go out and clean up the hood type of thing, but that's not what it is. It was just if it was that, then I would actually enjoyed it, but it was terrible. It's called Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. It's my number 7 worst movie of the year.
I didn't see it. But number 6 for me is a foreign film that I watched on Amazon called A Beautiful Life. It's about a musician who gets his big break. It's just so boring. It's just boring. When you deal with music, it should be fun, it should be uplifting. But it's just so boring. The music is boring. It's just it's so dull, man. I don't understand how you make these musical. It's not a biopic or anything, but it's just I don't understand how you do a musical film and it's just so boring. But
and that's your 6, right?
Yeah, and it was a foreign film at that.
And I've never heard of it. Never heard of it. I'm glad I hadn't. Number 6 for me is a movie that came out uh middle of the year, like I would say like towards the October time frame. I can't quite remember. I seen it in theaters. I got to see it with my buddy Quentin Hollis. Uh, it it lives inside. It's a movie about a girl who she's an Indian girl who has some type of deity or demon trapped in like a mason jar, and it's like an entity, and it's essentially called Make It Crazy. It felt a lot like uh Smile,
Mm.
but
Trapped in a mason jar.
but without like it made me appreciate Smile for what it was actually.
Well, I say I'm now happy about it.
Yeah, like because like it tried to be like that, but it fell very very short. But maybe some people will like it. Just for me, it wasn't something that I will remember tomorrow. So.
All right, number 5 for me. Ooh, getting into it now. The really bad ones. For me, oh boy. I had no desire to see this movie when I didn't even watch a trailer to it. I didn't go see it in theaters. I just watched it yesterday. I told Aaron this yesterday. David Gordon Green needs to stop making horror movies. He's gonna become the next Rob Zombie if he's not careful. Exorcist, Believer. I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer in you, David Gordon Green.
Where did it go wrong for you? Everywhere. I know the one big part. I know the one part where it really went wrong, where it took a turn for me too. Which I'm like, well, why? Why even bring her? That was my thought. But okay.
Oh, her at the end.
Yeah,
Reagan?
like no, with the mom, like
The mom.
what they did.
Okay.
With her. Like I thought that was such a you can't walk that back. Once you do something like that, it's just it's stupid. Yeah,
I don't
I don't know.
understand why they even
I'm
brought
like,
Reagan back though. It's a cameo, and it's at the spoilers. It's at the very end of the movie. It's
I think they were intending for it to it's going to usher in the sequel. I don't believe it will usher a sequel because I don't think it usher a sequel yet. But anyway,
I just thought if you're gonna bring that character back, the focus should be on her. All these years later, I don't because obviously the demon wanted her because they were writing her name on the wall, and that actually reminded me of one of the films that made my best list. But yeah, I 90 minutes in, I was like, when is this gonna get good?
Oh wow.
And I don't trust the man as a horror filmmaker. I just don't, and I'm sorry for all the people that did enjoy Exorcist, Believer. I'm not a believer. And David Gordon Green.
Hey, after what he did to my precious Halloween franchise, I'm also not a believer. All right, number 5 for me is a movie that listen. At this point, there's been 3 movies in this series, and I think I'm done with the series. I don't think any other movies has really grabbed me and kept me, and that would be the third movie I'm talking about, which is the 5th one on my list, is Haunting in Venice.
Okay.
It's the Murder of the Orient Express, the Death on the Nile, and now this one. It just that movie, this franchise. I don't know, man. I'm more into the Glass Onion
Knives
franchise.
Out.
Knives Out, yeah, like that. I think that's a much more enjoyable series.
Well,
and yeah,
I'm not trying to defend that movie. I didn't like the movie either. It didn't make my list, but I feel Knives Out is for today's audience, and these films are for nostalgia. The people that grew up reading the books.
mm-hmm.
I feel. I like the second movie, but I agree with you. I didn't like the first or the third one. So I mean, I was bored watching this last one. So.
And I thought it was like miscasting, and I love Tina Fey, but I felt like it was miscasting having Tina Fey in the movie. it's just and the twist that was she like one of the villains, I think. But yeah, it was just terrible
It
to
was
me.
forgettable.
You're very forgettable.
Yeah.
What was your number 4?
Oh, number 4. Well, see, you brought a shark movie into the worst list, so I have to bring a shark movie into the worst list. I mean, honestly, though, I thought this was going to be my number 1. I didn't think anything was going to top The Black Demon, the absolutely worst shark movie I have ever seen. It's not even a shark movie; it's a demon movie. I mean, it's a Conjuring with a shark.
So it has a shark in it though, but
it's a shark, but it's a demonic shark.
Okay.
It's really big though. There's one shot in this movie where it's going up, and it's a beautiful shot, and it's the only redeeming thing about the movie. Everybody sucks in this movie. Josh Lucas sucks in this movie. I like him, but he sucks
in this movie. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was your
theme. It sucked.
What was that, 4?
That's my number 4. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't skip one for you, right? We're on.
Yeah, we're on 4.
Okay, cool. All right, number 4 for me is a movie that Brandon warned me not to watch, but I watched it to give it a chance. And I can only say, Dad is better. Pet Sematary. This movie is supposed to be like the backstory for Judd in the movie, and it just was an unnecessary movie. It was just terrible. It was terrible, and it has David Duchovny in it, and they wasted David Duchovny. I felt as well.
Is he Judd?
No, he's not Judd. He's Judd's dad. No, not Judd's dad. Somebody else's dad. But Judd is like a neighbor. Stupid.
Is Judd the main character?
Yeah, he is.
I didn't see the movie. I saw the trailer. It looked atrocious.
But you know who Judd is, and I'm only going to talk about. I love John Lithgow. He did good in the remake. But I'm talking about the dude who played Herman Munster. I forget his name. You know who he is.
Yes.
You don't believe for 1 second this guy that cast to play Judd will become this guy. You don't believe it.
Well, is it a prequel to that one or the latest Pet Sematary?
I think it's a prequel because it takes place in the 70s. So I think it's a prequel or 60s or something. It's a prequel to the original Pet Sematary.
Oh, okay. I didn't know which prequel it was too.
It has Foxy Brown in there too, and she is wasted. It's just, what in the world? What do you do? What are you doing?
I mean,
Stop.
I went back and watched the original 2 Pet Sematary films. I still like the first one, but it's not great. And the sequel's atrocious. I love Edward Furlong. I love the dude from ER. I can't think of his name. But, and it's got Clancy Brown. He's the best part, in my opinion.
Clancy, the sheriff, right?
Yeah. But it's just atrocious. And then I rewatched the remake, and I thought that was bad. Maybe Pet Sematary just doesn't work on film.
Pet Sematary just doesn't work on film. Yeah, I agree with you. What's your number 3?
Number 3 came from a Netflix film that I knew nothing about. I think it's an anime, or I think it's anime. They made a live action movie of it called Zom 100: Bucket List of the Dead. I can't really tell you what it's about because I forgot most of it. I just remembered I wanted to throw something at my TV while watching it. I remember some of the zombies were running. I couldn't wait for it to be over. That's what I remember. I just remember hating it so much that I actually don't remember the plot. It's been that forgettable, and it's only been 2 months since I watched it. So I mean, I remember really hating it. Yeah, that's about all I could say.
Number 3 for me. I was gonna switch it up mentally, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna keep it as way I did it. It's my final number. Number 3 for me is what we already have Marvel fatigue, and this didn't help. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania made my list worst. One of the worst. Well, number 3 for me. At this point, I think Ant-Man is just a dead series. I think that it. I think Marvel for the most part. I agree with you for the most part. Marvel's movie, I think they're pretty much dying.
Yeah,
But I think that Marvel's like little Disney Plus TV shows can still live because Loki was great. Now they have What If season 2. I hadn't watched that yet, um, but
that I am actually interested in watching because I love season 1. So
yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was just Mordor. It's just so dumb. It's dumb.
I
I
liked
feel
it, but I didn't like it for Ant-Man.
you like
Maybe
it
it's
for Majors.
yeah. I thought he was amazing in it. I thought he brought life to the movie. I was looking forward to him down the road, which isn't happening now. So I ain't gonna go into that. That's a total different story. But he's the reason I like the movie. But I agree that it wasn't a very good movie without him in it. Like Scott Lang was just not. He wasn't Scott Lang in this movie for the most part. He missed his crew. I never thought I'd say this, but Michael Pena is a huge, in my opinion, he's a huge reason that the first movie is successful. He brought a lot of comedy to it, which is I was telling you earlier that a certain somebody needs to add some comic relief to his films because they're so dark. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that this is on your list. But my number 2 was another Netflix movie, Killer Book Club. I don't. This film. I mean, it's obviously trying to be Scream. A little bit of I Know What You Did Last Summer. It feels like it's trying to be the '90s, but it's so bad. Everything about it is so bad. It reminded me also of that one movie that came out in the '90s, Killing Mr. Griffin. I think that's what it's called. Same author actually that wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer, Lois Duncan. It kind of reminded me of that, but it was really stupid.
Garnett Whitman is saying, I don't know what movie that you were referring to, Garnett. That movie still has not been made. What movie are you talking about? Let me know. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just thought it was probably the worst slasher movie of 2023 that I saw.
Yeah. I was gonna watch it, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I started, but then like 10, 15 minutes into it, I was like, I'm not gonna do this. That's how I felt about it, and I was like, I'm not.
That's how I felt about my number 1.
Well, number 2 for me, and I know you appreciate this. Number 2 for me, on my worst list, is Priscilla.
I wanted to watch it just to put it on my worst films list. I wanted to make number 1, which is going to be hard to top what number 1 is. But talk about it because I didn't see it. I know what it's about. But
well, first of all, you can't come behind Austin Butler and play Elvis. For one, like he's so memorable as Elvis that it's gonna be hard for me to never see him as Elvis in anything he does in the future. But because he did such a great job, that's how I felt about Denzel with Malcolm. So but with this, it's just like I just don't feel like honestly Priscilla is not that interesting of a person for a movie. And I just wasn't. I mean, I knew the story. It felt like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
If that tells you anything.
All I will say about it, if what she's saying is true, if it happened all like that, which I don't believe all of it's true to begin with, but if it did, okay, stop making money off his name. If you hate him that much, if he treated you that poorly, stop making money off of his name. That's all I ask. That's all any Elvis fan would ask. But you're not going to stop. You're going to make money off his name because he's all you got. He's all you had pretty much all your adult life. Maybe that's a bad take on my end, but I feel if you hate the guy so much, you're willing to make a movie that tarnishes his name. You shouldn't be making money off Graceland.
Yeah, I agree. All right. What's your number 2?
Oh, my number 2 is Killer Book Club. My number 1,
Okay.
and it's technically a slasher movie, but I don't view it as a slasher movie. I view it as sacrilegious. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I never want to see another movie this guy makes, and I know he's got another sequel planned, and I think he's going to try to do Peter Pan. You're ruining people's childhood, and I've always said you can't ruin something, but you really are. For people that grew up with Winnie the Pooh, and they watch this movie, even if you're a horror fan, even if you're a diehard horror fan, such as yourself, I don't think I'm a diehard horror fan anymore. I got too many horror films in my worst films list.
Yeah.
But I really do. I feel I'm changing, but I knew this was going to be bad, but I thought maybe it's going to be so bad it's good, but it just wasn't. Even Christopher Robin was barely in the movie. The reasoning why he's doing it is stupid. It was so bad. Aaron, it was really bad. Did you watch it?
No.
Do you have any desire to watch it?
No, nor did I have a desire to watch the Grinch horror film.
I didn't watch that one.
I just don't, just like I agree with you, stop. Nobody wants to see that. Let your horror be horror. Let your classic fairy tale or stories be that. There's no need to muddle the water,
Yeah.
But okay, number 1 for me, the worst movie that I've seen in 2023 is I'm surprised House Party wasn't. You said you bumped House Party.
They made number 10.
I forgot about it. Oh yeah, okay. For me, number 1 movie that I hated this year was You People, starring Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill. I thought it was just. Listen, I'm just gonna go out and say this. Barris or whatever the guy's name is, I don't find him an interesting writer at all. At all. I don't. Blackish isn't that good. Black AF is okay, but not because of him. It's because of other people that's in it. I don't find him. I just don't find him feeling in this movie. You wanted classic Eddie. Even Eddie from like Harlem Nights, Eddie from Life, or something like Eddie that's quipping and things like that. You wanted that, you don't put. You said this. You don't put Eddie in a movie and have him be like deadpan. You don't. And then Jonah Hill, it's pretty much Look Who's Coming to Dinner, but you can't. First of all, you can't touch the Sidney Poitier film. That just stop with this. And it was dumb. It was just dumb.
I
didn't. There's only one joke I probably laughed at, and that's probably Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Something she said or something.
Oh yeah, she was awkward funny.
Yeah.
I didn't hate the movie, but I didn't give it a fresh score either. I don't know what's I know what's happened to Eddie. He became all family oriented. But Jonah, I don't know. I just don't understand. He was good at comedy, right? I mean, in the mid 2000s, he did Superbad. He did Get Him to the Greek. The 21 Jump Street films. I mean, he was funny.
Robbie Kramer says that Eddie Murphy flick missed the mark, so he agrees with him.
Yeah. So I don't blame this on Eddie though. I blame this more on Jonah Hill because he was. I think he's one of the writers, I believe. So I put this on Jonah Hill's shoulders more than do Eddie. But I don't know what's happened to Jonah. I'm a big fan of Jonah, but I don't know. But I understand. I knew you had frustrations with this film because you told me about it way before I even watched. I was like, great. That's great. This movie's gonna suck. That movie, because it was one of my most anticipated films, honestly. I mean, Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy together. You people, it's going to deal with race. It's going to be funny. But it wasn't. It wasn't funny. It was borderline boring. Honestly.
All right, we'll go ahead and jump in then to our best honorable mention films. I went last, so you start off.
All right. Do you want me to go 5 through 1 or just 5? With
You
these?
go 5, and then we go from there.
Okay. Number 5 for me, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I thought this was a solid finale for Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. I really would have loved to put it in my top 20, but there's some parts that just didn't gel for me. But overall, I thought it was a good swan song for Harrison Ford.
All right. For me, number 5 is a movie I had fun in theaters, Cocaine Bear. It was a fun time. Brandon said, give a bear cocaine and the bear kills you. That's what the movie is.
That's what it is.
And it was just as crazy as I thought it was gonna be. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every moment of it. It's based loosely on true story, but it's not that story. But I love the what if. I'm sorry that that's the last movie that Ray Liotta went out on, but kind of like Ray, and his career deserves better than Cocaine Bear, but I absolutely love Cocaine Bear.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Ray was happy with it. I mean, it was a fun movie. He was playing a drug dealer. I mean, he kind of went out. I mean, he wasn't exactly a drug dealer in the mafia films he played, but I mean, it was familiar territory. I would say that for him. Number 4 for me, a movie you didn't like, but I actually had a good time with it, even though I don't really care for the filmmaker. A Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan. I love Dave Bautista in this movie, and
I took it off my list for worse. So yeah,
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story. I although he changed the ending, like I didn't know that at first, but I was like, why is he messing with it? But I had a good time with it. I thought it was an interesting story, and I thought it was well acted.
Yeah. I like Dave Bautista was the best part in that movie. Listen, Bautista has surprised me as an actor. We spoke about this several times. And I'm if he's in a movie, I'm gonna watch it. Because I think that, and I'm gonna tell you. So John Cena didn't make any of my list, including like the worst, the Vacation Friends 2. But I think where his career is going is the opposite direction of where it should be going. His career is going down. But maybe it's because Cena is a one note type of guy, an actor. He hasn't shown me that he can do anything outside of what he's doing. But Batista is able to actually do other things. But it just didn't make my list. But number 4 for me is The Killers. It's a movie that I think David Fincher. I don't know. I'm not familiar with it. I probably do know stuff, but I can't name anything off the top of my head. But The Killers has Michael Fassbender in it as a killer, and he's doing his like he says he's the best, but is he? Is he the best at what he does? But it was interesting. Yes,
so basically, he's CM Punk. Calls himself the best, but is he?
Yeah, exactly. But it was really interesting. It has an inner monologue for most of the movie and stuff like that. It was interesting. It's on Netflix. The Killer, or The Killer rather, The Killer, not The Killer.
Yeah, it's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Okay, number 3. You've mentioned it already. It's your number 5. Cocaine Bear. The bear gets some cocaine. He eats it. He kills people. I could only imagine what Bruce would be like on cocaine in Amity. I mean, something I'd like to see actually. But yeah, that's what it is, and it's a fun time. Don't take it too seriously if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I think it's on Amazon. It's just a bear eating some cocaine and killing people.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is. Enjoy that. Enjoy that premise alone. And the kids was pretty hilarious in the movie. So, I forgot all about that kid. The little boy was hilarious. The number 3 for me is John Wick 4. Made my
honorable.
Yeah, I loved it, but I didn't love it like other people probably loved it. But I enjoyed it. I'll tell you what didn't make my list at all. But it was between that and this, and I had to bump off Equalizer 3. I enjoyed that one as well, but John Wick 4 seems like a more like a bigger film. You know what I mean? It had a big film feel to it.
Yeah.
And it was very epic, and Keanu like seemed like he went through a lot. Like his character John. It was enjoyable, but it's it made my honorable mention though.
Yeah, number 2 for me, in my opinion, best supernatural possession film of this year, The Pope's Exorcist. And the reason it makes my honorable mentions is because of Russell Crowe. If you take Russell Crowe out of this row, it's just your standard cut of the mill possession film. There's nothing special about it. But Russell Crowe makes it special. He makes it comic. He's great at this. He's the comic relief. I mean, and he's the star. And I love one of my favorite lines in the movie is like, "Do you know any jokes?" He's like, "No." "Learn some. The devil hates comedy." And I was just like,
yeah, he was literally the best part of the movie.
Yeah, he was. So I mean, I loved it. I had a really good time with it. I wished more supernatural possession films went more comic around it, but I'm glad I've seen it, and I'm glad it's getting a sequel.
There you go. Number 2 for me on my best honorable mentions list is They Clone Tyrone. I absolutely enjoyed Jamie Foxx for one was like the best part of the movie. The idea of a secret organizational plot happening in the black community, and the clones. It's just I thought it was a great concept, and it was a fun movie. I was never really bored with it, and then of course you get my boy Kiefer popping up in it. So Ed even was like, I was like, yes, and I wanted more Kiefer.
Absolutely.
But yeah, absolutely, I enjoyed the movie, man. But if you haven't watched it, go in there. I think you're gonna absolutely love. You're gonna love Jamie Foxx. You're gonna love that. David Allen Greer popped up in it as well. The preacher, short part, but he popped up in there. It's a fun movie. I loved it.
My number 1 is a comedy that surprised me. I had such a good time with this. The Machine, based off the comic. I forgot his name, but I had never heard him before. So I was like, Machine. I was like, what is this? But I saw Mark Hamill was in the movie, and it was kind of my selling point. Mark Hamill doing comedy. I was like, I gotta see it. I mean, and I thought he was great. I had a blast. It was a rated R comedy that it felt like something should have came out in the 90s, but still works today. I really had a really good time with it. And there's a Russian looking dude that's, you're a wrestling fan, that just looks like Cody Rhodes. The blonde hair and everything. He just looks like Cody Rhodes on steroids. And so I just had a really good time with it. It was a nice little surprise this year for me.
Number 1 for me for my honorable mentions list is a movie that came out in June, The Blackening. I loved it, man. I loved it. You know, whatever black folks do with horror movies, man, and knowing that they're in a horror movie type of thing, it was fun. It was fun characters. Sometimes overboard, but it was. I thought it was like I thought it was a fun little movie. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch it. Watch it, The Blackening. It was a pretty solid little good horror comedy, satirical, I would say, at some point. So yeah,
Well,
yeah.
here we go.
Here we go.
Are we doing this the same way?
This is 2023. Yes, we're gonna do our traditional way of doing it. So let's start off.
So
Back at the
20
rim.
through 16 or just 20?
It's 20 through 16. Yes, I think
Okay.
it's our tradition.
Yeah, okay. Number 20 for me, Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I actually enjoyed this. I'm not the biggest Transformers fan of the movies, but I actually had fun with this. And I love the end credit scene. It's got me excited. I don't know if Aaron has seen this or not. I'm not going to spoil it if he hasn't.
I've seen it.
Okay, I'm very excited for the future of where they're going. But number 19 for me, I enjoyed this movie. I did. I just didn't.
I'm sorry. With your Transformers didn't make my list. I absolutely did enjoy it though. I thought it was fun.
Number 19, Creed 3. I enjoyed it. But once again, kind of like Ant-Man, I enjoyed it for the supporting character. Same guy. You know, I don't care for Adonis Creed too much, especially without Rocky. And Rocky should have been here in this movie, especially spoilers when his mom passes away. The history between the Creeds and the Balboas. I mean, he should have been there, but he wasn't. No explanation given, really. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story for the personal story that this was with Adonis and his best friend that got no mention in the first two movies, but I wanted more of the other character, but I don't know. Michael B. Jordan, he just isn't doing it for me like he used to do it for me. I'm losing faith in him, I guess. I don't know. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. Oh, yeah, I'm still going. And this will be a surprise to you. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is number 18. I liked it, but as I told you, I feel this franchise is starting to have some flaws. They're depending too much on Tom Cruise's, his
stunt work.
His stunts. It's. I felt this was more of a stunt film than an actual storyline, but it makes number 18. And also another surprising twist, Scream 6 is number 17. I enjoyed the movie. I just didn't like the ending. The ending, it loses some points of the whole family being involved. But I did love the ruthlessness of Ghostface in this one. I thought he was the most ruthless he's ever been. Just the ending, and now with the news of the new one, this probably should be it. Really,
Maybe.
And number 16, Tom Hanks led film, A Man Called Otto. I greatly enjoyed that movie.
2023.
Yeah, came out in January.
Didn't know that. All right. Number 20 for me. You just mentioned it not too long ago. Scream 6. I enjoyed it.
High up.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. There's other movies I like more than that, but it was fun. I thought that I love the idea of Ghostface in New York and then playing with the elements in New York.
Yeah.
But it's all for nothing now because where we're gonna go in the series, I don't know. Number 19 was Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. That movie absolutely blew me away as far as like the comedic elements in it. Chris Pine. Was that Chris Pine?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to confuse my Chris's. But yeah, he did a great job in it. The little side characters. it just was fun, man. It's really really enjoyable. Number 18 for me is a documentary that I watched on Apple Plus and or Apple TV, and it's called Still, a Michael J. Fox movie about Michael J. Fox and his Parkinson's. He's talking in his own words, but not only that, they cut scenes from his movies and then have like stand-ins do be him. In certain things. It just was like really beautifully crafted together. It was really enjoyable. Um, but yeah, so that was my number 18. Number 17 was a movie that I absolutely enjoyed watching and reviewing. And you are so not invited to my bat mitzvah rather, because she's a girl. Um, but yeah, it's Adam Sandler's Daughters with Adam Sandler. It's
Hmm.
on Netflix. It was enjoyable. Adam, we mentioned how he was able to take the back seat to let his kids shine a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was a fun movie. It's probably the best happy Happy Madison film that came out in a while. And so yeah, it's actually I thought it was really good. I thought his daughter did an excellent job. And I'm thinking about it now. She should be on my list for like uh, outstanding young actors and actresses. So she did a really good job. Um, Number 16 for me is on Hulu. No One Will Save You. It's a movie about a woman who it's a home invasion movie, but it's with aliens.
Hmm.
I thought it was a fun movie. It had some wonky parts in it, yeah, but for the most part, I had a fun time watching the movie.
15 for me. You can watch this on Amazon Prime. It's called The Burial. It's got Jamie Foxx, Tommy Lee Jones. I think this is some of Jamie Foxx's best work, honestly, and it's an important role for Tommy Lee Jones, which he hasn't had an important role in years. It's based on a true story. It's an emotional story. It's a court drama type of film. I was really blown away by Jamie Foxx in this movie. Like he was flashy, he was cocky, a little arrogant, and I hadn't seen that Jamie Foxx in a long time. But it was also he was serious too. So yeah, he hit on all cylinders for me. Number 14, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Absolutely had a blast with this.
Didn't make my list. I loved it though.
It didn't make your list. Shocking.
Didn't make my list. Yeah.
Um, I love the fact that they're actually kids too. They're young teenagers, which is something we hadn't seen in ever really, uh, as far as on the big screen. But
Hmm.
yeah, I love the story. I love what's coming. It was just a really fun time. Number 13, and this is going to probably upset Aaron just a little bit because I expect this to be top 5 for him. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I know, right? It just, I really did enjoy it. I mean, it's on my top 20. I just don't like it as much as the first one. Maybe
Okay.
it's, I just love that first story. I do love this story, and I'm looking forward to where it's going. I just, I don't know. I wasn't as invested this time around.
Okay.
Number 12, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I think it's the best coming of age story that came out this year. I love the actress that plays Margaret. I just thought it was I mean, if you're a woman or a teenage woman, this movie is great for you. It's for you,
Mm.
and I thought it was so well acted and it's such a great story. Uh, you know, maybe it make you understand women a little more if you don't understand women. For all those young men out there,
And
um, number
you did,
11,
buddy. And
11.
isn't it? Isn't that it?
No, we go to 11. Six,
Okay. Go ahead.
15 to 11. 11, DC's The Flash. I love this movie. I don't care what anybody says. I know it's got a lot of hate, but I love the movie.
Didn't make
I,
my list.
I love Ezra Miller. I know it's controversial to say. Wait, let me finish. I love him as the Flash in this particular movie. I thought he was great. I love Michael Keaton and I loved Ben Affleck's opening scene, and pretty much the only time he's in the movie. I had a really good time. I thought it kind of pains me because it's over. The DCU is over now, so but I at least got a Flash movie out of it finally, and I thought it was a pretty good one.
All right. That one didn't make my list. It made my honorable mentions list, and then I bumped it up. I liked it, but then I was like, I bumped it up. But pretty good list. Number 16, right? No, number 15.
15.
Is the Netflix original movie. May December. Stars Julianne Moore and what was it? Natalie, not Natalie Portman. Yeah, Natalie Portman. That's right. It's about you remember that controversy with the teacher who had relations with her student, got pregnant, Mary Kate Letourneau.
I think so.
Yeah, it was like a big tabloid type of in the 90s type of
Okay,
scandal.
yeah, definitely remember.
But it's pretty much a fictional version of those. But what is their life like now? Like all these years later, with the family and stuff like that. How is their life? And I thought it was an interesting movie. Natalie Portman plays an actress who's coming to Julianne Moore to study her so that she can play her in a movie adaptation of the events that happened in their life. And so it's a really interesting character study about abuse, about have we really started to heal from all the things that has happened? It's a really outstanding movie. I would say it'd probably be nominated for some awards this year. If you haven't seen it, it's on. I don't know if it's on Netflix yet or if it's coming on there.
It's on there.
Okay, May December is an excellent movie. Number 14 is another movie that will be on Netflix. I think it's going to be launching next year, but we got screeners for it. Was able to see it early, I guess. And it's called Society of the Snow. It's a movie about this rugby team in Spain, who real life story where they crashed their plane in the Andes Mountains and had to survive, and had to think about realistically we're gonna have to eat each other, and think like things that you don't really want to do but you have to do to survive. It was a great movie, especially when they got to the plane crash and it was well done. It was an excellent time, and you felt the coldness watching the movie. Number 13 for me, I agree with you. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. That movie is. I agree with you. If you are so not invited to my mitzvah, is a coming of age movie, but this movie, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, is the definitive coming of age movie, and I see it becoming a movie that years later people will watch, go back to watch. I thought it was that good of a movie. Well casted, you kind of you really like the main actress. She's really is drawn to her story, and she's trying to find out who God is. So she goes to different religions to try it out and see what things are like. And she tried to realize who she is and who she's gonna be. It's really an interesting movie. And number 12 for me is a movie starring my dude, Jeremy Wright. It's called American Fiction. I guess to watch it. It was a movie about a writer is frustrated with like the crap that's selling. Imagine like the books that's selling is about like violence, daddy issues, mom issues, things that stuff is selling. So he wrote a book just as a joke, and people are eating it up. People's eating it up, and he's like, oh well, now he has to lean into this. It's a really good movie. And then my dude's also in it. What's the name? Sterling K. Brown. He's in it
Yeah.
as well. He's excellent. It was fun, man. I can't wait for you to watch it. I think I told you where I was watching it. That I liked it. Um, number 11, and then after my number 11, what we can do is just do one at a time for the 10 through 1. Be
Okay.
like, but number 11 for me is a movie that we just had our little best list for Christmas. Made my best list for the best Christmas movie I've seen this year. The Holdovers. Um, uh, Paul Giamatti's in it. Uh, he's a not schoolmaster, but a school teacher. Uh, Stuck at school. It's like big fancy school with kids that have nowhere to go for Christmas, and he hates it, and they hate him, and they have to get along. It's fun. It's a fun little movie. It has language, but it was a Christmas movie, and it felt like a Christmas movie. Um,
All right. Number 10 for me. It was actually the last film I saw in theaters. A friend of mine wanted to go see it. He invited me, so I went with him. Godzilla -1. And we spoke a little bit about it. Aaron's like, why is it so high on your list? But this is the very first time I've ever seen a foreign Godzilla film, to be honest. Never seen all the others, never, not once. So I didn't really know what I was really going into. I've only seen the American version. So I was really enthralled in this movie. I love the story of this one guy's personal war with Godzilla. And, it was emotional. It was probably the most emotional Godzilla movie I've ever seen. Honestly, I mean, I can't. It does remind me of the 2014 with Bryan Cranston's character, but I felt they did it better here because he lasts all through the movie. It's not just one act of that personal storyline. It's 2 hours of this, so I really dug it, and the subtitles didn't bother me. Shocking because they usually do, but for this movie they didn't. And I loved Bad Godzilla. He was fun.
that's good. I'm glad you like it. Number 10 for me, Oppenheimer.
What?
Yes,
Oh,
Oppenheimer was it was an enjoyable movie. It was very long,
it is a
long
long movie.
movie. And it kept my interest off and on. I
Off and
say
on.
that off and on, off and there, off and on. But it kept my interest off and on. Uh, but mainly Robert Downey Jr. kept bringing me back
What he
into it.
does.
Yeah, and and it got really interesting. Florence Pugh lets it all hang out. But
I
yeah,
knew you would mention that. I just knew you would.
but there you go. Go for it, brother.
All right, number 9. You mentioned it earlier. John Wick, Chapter 4. John Wick goes through it. He gets ran over by cars. He gets shot at. It's a long movie, but it's a fun movie. I never lost interest. I just don't know how they do Chapter 5 with him returning, with how his story ended.
Right.
But I had a great time with this. I don't think it's the best John Wick, but I think it's probably the second best. It, love Donnie Yen in this. I love a lot of people in this movie. This movie has a really good supporting cast. It's not just about John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a really great job of building this world, and it continues with this film. It was a blast.
All right. Number what is it? 9.
9. Number 9 for
Number
you.
9 for me is Talk to Me.
LA Knight?
Huh?
LA Knight?
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. No. Let me talk to you. But no. No. Talk to Me. The Australian horror film. It came out from A24.
Okay.
About the hand. It was the best horror movie I've seen this year. I just realized Evil Dead Rise didn't make my list at all, but I liked it. But this movie I loved. So Talk to Me was was a movie I thought about, and it literally it's hard to sleep at night after watching it. So it did its job.
Did his job, man. Hard to sleep. All right, number 8 for me, from the producers of John Wick, comes Sisu, about a guy who's a legend who does nothing but kill Nazis. I love this movie. I like this better than John Wick Chapter 4, actually. Of course, it's a little higher, but I had such a good time with this. Aaron left me, but I really did. I just love the damage the Nazis do to this guy, but they just cannot kill him. They hang him. He's just there. He is. There's explosions. I mean, he gets shot at. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of that Quentin Tarantino movie with Kurt Russell in the car with those 3 women. There's a scene there towards the end of the movie that kind of reminded me of that movie, Death Proof, I believe it's called. But the main reason, this guy just wants to be left alone, and the Nazis just will not leave the old man alone. And I'm glad I went and seen it. It didn't last in theaters too long this year, but it didn't make its money back. But it was, in my opinion, straight up action movie, best straight up action movie I saw this year.
Okay. Number 8 for me is a movie I got to see today. I watched the screener, and I really enjoyed it. It's called Poor Things. It stars Emma Stone. It has Willem Dafoe. It has Mark Ruffalo, and it's about it's essentially like a Frankenstein story, where this man, does some things to reanimate somebody, Emma, and she's discovering things. It is really interesting. It actually had a lot of comedic elements to it as well. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this movie. It's just my Letterboxd review is brilliantly insane. Just how I thought that movie was. So
I saw it. I saw your review earlier because I was expecting you to have that other. You said you're just gonna watch something else, so I was like,
Wonka. I didn't go to watch it. I didn't get to go to see it.
My number 7, this little Christian film that came out earlier this year called Jesus Revolution, and I thought the movie was indeed a revolution. The guy that plays Jesus and The Chosen is in it, and he steals the show once again. That dude is phenomenal. I love Kelsey Grammer in it too. I love these church members coming together and having a revolution. But I also love the hippie story aspect to it. They're looking for something, and they're going with drugs to find that, and that's not where you're going to find it. It's not where you're going to find that peace that you're looking for, and you're going to find it with Jesus. And I love that aspect a little bit more than, I don't know his name, that plays Jesus in The Chosen. Man, he rocks in this movie.
Jeremy Rumi or something like that.
You know it.
Jason, just something like that.
He's really good in this. He's a really good actor in general, but I mean, he steals the show here. But I really enjoyed this movie, and I've recommended it to people that I come in conversation with when we talk about God and whatnot. But if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix if you have a desire to go watch it.
All right.
That was my number 7.
All right. I'm going to make sure I update top 10 movies 2023. All right. So number 7 for me, the movie that is currently on Prime. very controversial, I guess. But I liked it for the acting, and it's just weird. Saltburn. Um,
It's on my list. I haven't watched it though.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But the actor in it, the dude that pops up at the end of the Batman as Joker.
Paul Dano
You know,
from
yeah,
Fablemans as well.
yeah. No, not Paul Dano. Not him. But the
Oh,
guy
the
that
Joker. Never mind. Never mind. That's the Riddler.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that actor. He's also in some other stuff. He was in the whatever that movie the movie with Colin Farrell last year that won a lot of stuff. He's in that movie. Anyway, yeah, I absolutely enjoyed the movie. It was very sadistic, crazy, entertaining. I was never bored with it. Saltburn. Um, and then it's your turn.
Number 6 for me, based on the Michael Jordan Nike shoes, the story about how Nike became what it is today. Air, directed by Ben Affleck, starring Matt Damon, Chris Tucker, Jason Bateman, is it Viola Davis? The
Viola.
mom? Yeah. Why are you shaking your head for, man? It's number 6.
It didn't make my list.
It didn't make your list.
No, I love the movie, but it didn't make my list. Yeah,
Yeah, I love this movie. I never thought though this a movie about a shoe would be so enjoyable.
it really was. We mentioned this. We said that Chris Tucker steals the scene, everything that he's doing in the movie. But yeah,
yeah, it's Air. It really is. It's Air.
What is it? Was it 6?
Yeah, it was my number 6.
Number 6 for me is my favorite. One of my favorite movies I've seen this year, obviously. The Killers of the Flower Moon. Leonardo DiCaprio is excellent. Robert De Niro's excellent. What's the name? Gladstone. I don't remember the lady's name, but she's excellent in it. The movie is just like it sticks with you. It's just the difference between this and Oppenheimer for me is this. Like Oppenheimer, I was going in and out of being interested in it, but this movie, I was interested the whole time. I never was like, I'm bored. I don't want to look at this no more. I really enjoyed
bored.
It.
Wow.
I never was bored.
Okay, but the fact you were bored during Oppenheimer is
maybe if I seen it in theaters, it'd been different. But I've seen it at home. Yeah.
But I mean, it's on my list, Oppenheimer. So I'll talk about it when I get to it. But so it was a really enjoyable movie. The flowers and
The Killers of the Flower Moon, excellent movie. It's probably. I hope it wins. I don't know if it's gonna win Best Picture, but I know it's gonna be nominated. It's good.
I'm shocked the movie is not on your list, though. I'm very shocked it hasn't made it yet. Because I was expecting it to make it because you just saw it.
Let's keep it going.
I hope it makes it. As big of a fan as you are of the industry.
You did go, okay? If you don't keep it going.
Number 5 for me is a movie I saw yesterday. Aaron put it on his worst films of the year. I expected it to be one of my worst films of the year. I was looking forward to hating it. You got to understand. I thought this movie was completely stupid. All right? That's what I said when I told him this. I was like, this is literally the stupidest movie of 2023. This movie is 2023 in a nutshell. It's Barbie, okay? It's the definition of today's climate. Everything about it is the world today. You say it comes. What did you say the real world was like? It is 2023, man.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
But the reason I like the movie so much is because of Ryan Gosling. This dude made me laugh so hard. I haven't laughed this hard in a very long time. I needed this laugh. I love Ken. I want a Ken Solo film. I want a whole shared universe of other Mattel toys. If this is the direction they're going in, I'm all for it. And I can't believe I'm saying it because I crapped on this movie as soon as I saw a trailer. I thought
So
this
you're
was,
saying that you are Knuff.
I am Knuff. I wanted that shirt, man. When I saw it, I was totally behind Ken's story arc. The guy feels like he's not enough. He does everything to get Barbie's attention, and she won't give him the time of day. Then he goes into the real world. He finally finds his voice, and then he takes it too far, and but it all ends in a happy note. I mean, Ken's got to find himself, and Barbie's gonna go do her own thing.
Well, I guess I need to continue this before you beat you off all over this podcast.
Oh yes, the beach off scene. I'm gonna beat you off. You're gonna beat me off. We're gonna beat each other off. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No. All right. So where are we at now?
That should go viral right there.
May. We're on number 5 now.
Yes, number 5.
Number 5 was a movie that the animated movie I liked the most this year. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It is you caught it. It was in my top 5. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Miles Morales. It just was fun, and then like the ending get me ready for the next one. I don't have Spider-Man has been doing everything right, where Marvel in itself has been doing things wrong. Spider-Man has been doing everything right. That's all I got to say.
Well, keeping it with Marvel, they're not totally dead in the water. They did have one of the most epic films that came out this year. Of course, it closed a chapter in a certain saga, but Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was phenomenal, and I can't believe Aaron forgot it came out.
It did not make my list at all.
Wow. But yeah, that story, and this is what I was telling Aaron earlier. Who I was talking about was Zack Snyder. He builds these worlds, and they're great. They look great, but he's so dark. He needs a comic relief. And this is what I think James Gunn does well, and why I now have hope that his new DC will actually work if Guardians of the Galaxy is any, if it's a crystal ball of what's coming. He can take emotional stuff, but he can also give us comedy in between those emotional scenes. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was a perfect example of what he can do in the DC. And I thought this was the best Guardians film. This was the best Marvel film in a really long time. I would say this is the best not Guardians, but the best Marvel film since Endgame or Infinity War. I think it's better than Spider-Man.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I love Spider-Man. No Way Home, is that it?
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
It was.
But this felt like a great. All 3 Guardians. Number 2 was the weakest, but all 3 of them were enjoyable.
Yeah.
And then the Christmas special was good too. Number 4 for me is The Color Purple, the brand new musical made for movie, the motion picture Color Purple. I wouldn't seen it yesterday or last night, and it was excellent. The issues I thought I was going to have with it, I suggest you watch it. I think that you'll like it. I don't think it's as heavy as Spielberg's was, but it's more colorful. It's just like, and the songs are very riveting. And Fantasia does an excellent job. The dude that played Mister.
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead. Yeah, he did an excellent job. yeah, it's really, man, I really enjoyed the movie. It's gonna also be nominated. I hope it's nominated for some things, and it would be awesome if it. I don't know if it'll win Best Picture, because there's so many other things that's out there, but uh, but it should get something. I think it did an excellent job. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I figured that was going to be in your top five as well. I saw that you saw it, and I saw you gave it 5 stars, and nothing against the movie. I was just thinking, how does that work as a musical? Just with
Oh,
everything, in my brain, I went, how does that work? Because I'm going by what Spielberg did. I was like, how does that work as a musical?
it's been a successful Broadway musical for
Has it?
several years now. Yeah, it's a Broadway musical. It's been on Broadway like for a number of years now.
Wow.
And Fantasia played Celie first, and then Cynthia Erivo or something like that. She played her as well. It's been very popular, but Fantasia does an excellent job in the film adaptation of this. Good job. Um,
All right. Number 3 for me. This was number 1 for a long time for me, but I couldn't be biased here. I had to be. I'll just go and say Super Mario Brothers. The movie is number 3. I think it's one of the very. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's to me. It's the best video game adaptation of all time.
it beat out all the other animated movies that came out this year. Super Mario Brothers on your
Yes,
list.
yes,
It didn't make my list at all. I loved it, but it didn't make my list.
yeah. I had a blast. This was my number 1 pick for a long time, and it the childhood came back. Man, I was a kid again watching this movie, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And if I was biased, this would be my number 1 pick because this is the movie I had the most fun with all year.
Yeah, that's what I said. I can't be biased. I agree with you. Um, Number 3 for me is uh, movie. I think this is probably the best movie that came out this year. It's called Past Lives. It's about Korean when they're kids. They dated briefly, but the girl moves from Korea to Canada. They immigrated over, and years later, as adults, they find each other through social media and Zoom each other, or whatnot. Not Zoom, but whatever it was at the time, whatever that was that they did. They did that FaceTime maybe, but they did that for a while. But then eventually was able to come together. But life has happened in between that, and it's just like one of the best realistic love stories I've ever seen. Because in reality, things isn't as you know cut and paste for you.
Nope.
There's a bump in the road. And so I loved it. I thought it was an excellent movie. I think it's going to be nominated for Best Picture. If not, yeah, Best Picture. I would hope so. It's just like was that good of a movie. I think it was I think this was a A24 release movie. A24 has been killing it. I give them props. Yeah, they've been killing it. But yeah, Past Lives. I
Well,
recommend you watch it whenever it comes out.
all right. Number 2 for me. Keeping with the tradition of A24. Yeah. Beau is Afraid. Now, this is kind of controversial because a lot of people don't like this movie. I'm well aware that a lot of people don't like it. But for me, this is the most original movie I think I've ever seen. Um, Joaquin Phoenix gives the guy just keeps on giving the performance of his career. It's every year it seems like he tops himself, and I think he tops himself as the Joker, as Johnny Cash. I mean, he just is so convincing as Beau.
Mm.
Like everything that's wrong with Beau, and that's why I like it so much. The journey Beau goes on, and he's so convincing in this journey. It's a very weird film. It's
Mm.
It's intriguing to me. I couldn't take my eyes off the movie when I was watching in theaters. I really couldn't. I was so glued to the screen.
Beau is Afraid is absolutely the weirdest movie I've seen this year. Absolutely.
Aaron didn't like it as much as me.
Yeah, I was. You love.
I loved it.
You love that crazy.
I do.
I'm like, it just doesn't mean I do that. But but I'm watching it like. I was thinking this while I was watching. What is happening?
That's what I was thinking. Give me more of this.
But I'm like, is this in his? And I was like, is this in his head? Is this real? Is that real? I'm like, what's happening?
See, when it makes you ask questions like that, it sticks with you.
I literally got 2 reviews on Letterboxd for this movie because I had more questions than I did answers. But as you said, keep it with A24. Number 2 for me is Iron Claw.
Yes,
the Von Erich film.
I didn't get to see it, but I'm glad it made your list.
It's this one. I really definitely hope is nominated for some awards. I think Zac Efron should be nominated for Best Actor for this movie because he transforms himself into Kevin Von Erich, and the casting was spot on except for Ric Flair. Terrible. And when you watch it,
a lot of people didn't like the actor that played Ric Flair.
Yeah, they should have did better with that. But I think with everyone else, even Harley Race, I was like, is he related to Harley? Because that's what I was thinking. Watching, I'm like, man, it would have been dope. You know who I would have cast as Harley? Would have been really good. But maybe it'd be too distracting. Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens can pull off Harley Race.
He's got that face. I will say that he's got the face structure.
Or that dude from remember that one dude that had the hat? He was like a cowboy type of robe, like with the cut off. I forget his name. Anyway, but no, Iron Claw was an excellent movie. I've talked to some of my buddies that's in the business, and they really, as wrestlers, they really enjoyed it. And you know, and it hits home for a lot of guys. The guy that plays Frick is excellent. He's like probably one of the best villains of the year. But yeah, it's just like really good movie, man. The Iron Claw. I can't wait for you to watch it. I can't wait for you to tell me.
I can't wait to see it myself. I mean, I really wanted to see it, but I just haven't had time or the money to go off the Bowling Green to go watch it. But what I want to say about that movie, I haven't seen it, but I do hope it opens up doors for other biopics from guys from that era, or even before then. You know, one of the main reasons I remember when I was a kid watching them, and I was always fascinated with Kevin. I really was. But the one I really remember the most was Kerry. But I remember him more because he was the Texas Tornado. And I was, the WWE guy or kid back then. And I wanted to ask you, do they explore any of that after his accident? Is that in the movie?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that guy that played Kerry. Like the only Von Erich I knew was Kerry Von Erich because I was a WWE or WWF kid. As far as like growing up, and I remember him hitting. I want to say it was the SummerSlam or Survivor Series. I think he wrestled at both. But I remember him coming down. Which one was it?
He was in he was Ultimate Warrior's partner in Survivor Series.
I remember
he was
him
Intercontinental champion at the time, I believe.
I remember him facing Mr. Perfect, and hitting him with the claw and then the tornado punch.
Yeah.
The discus punch. But yeah.
I used to do that as a kid all the time, the tornado punch. I loved it. I loved him, and I was so sad when he passed.
Yeah, me too.
Especially the circumstance. I didn't know the circumstances as a kid, but now learning the family's tragedies, it's one of the saddest wrestling stories of all
Yeah,
time.
it's very excellent. A24, best studio around right now.
Uh,
What
all
you got
right,
for number?
number one. I know you know what it is, but in my
Don't know it.
opinion, this movie is going to dominate the Academy Awards.
Oh, I know what it is now. Okay, go ahead.
Now, was this my favorite experience in the movie theaters? No, it was not. That's why I said I can't be biased. But I believe it gave the best performances in this year in Oppenheimer. I will give Christopher Nolan his flowers. I'm not the biggest fan of his. I have criticized him as a filmmaker. But this one, I was glued to the screen. I really was. I thought Cillian Murphy was phenomenal as Oppenheimer. I think he's going to win Best Actor. I do. I love how his brain works throughout the movie. I was so enthralled in that. And I really do believe Robert Downey Jr. is going to win Best Supporting Actor. As you said, he brings you back. He reels you back in. When he was on screen, man, he was so...
It was butter.
He was criminally... He was so criminal in this movie, man. What he was doing to this guy. You know, and but he was so good. You said butter. Yeah, he is butter. He's butter on that popcorn.
Yeah.
He really is good though. And I was really interested in the story. I didn't think I would be. I didn't really view the trailers all that much. I knew it wasn't going to be a really loud movie about the atomic bomb.
No, the sound design in that movie it's going to win for best sound, I think, too, because the way that it worked with sound in that movie was some of the best use of sound I've heard since I say Quiet Place. Quiet Place, they use sound great. This one, the way that they muffled it and oh man, so good. Oh, it's good. It's not. It's an excellent movie. There's nothing at all wrong with that film. I just didn't like it as much. But I liked it.
It's a long movie. It hurt my back watching it. Like it did. It's 3 hours. Also, I want to give this other guy some props. Josh Hartnett. I think for the limited role he had, this is probably his best work as an actor.
Oh, I want to give what's name else a shout out. So have you seen Killer of the Flower Moon yet or no?
No, I haven't.
There's a cameo in there that I think you'll love. Do you already know who's in it?
No.
Want me to tell you?
I mean, you can. It's probably going to be a long time for I see that since it's on Apple.
Brendan Fraser.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had heard. I didn't know it was a cameo, though. I thought like he was like one of the supporting actors throughout the whole movie.
No, he's just in it like towards the second to third act. Yeah. But all right, number one for me is Godzilla -1.
Wow.
In my opinion, is the best movie I've seen this year. Like that movie.
Maybe my top 10. So I agree.
I went into the theater not knowing, like, without watching any trailer for it. Not really sure what it's going to be because I was like, American Godzilla was okay, whatever. But this one was like, the way it started with this character and just me following this one guy, as you said, got me so invested in it. And then we meet his like makeshift family, his makeshift friends, and that scene with Godzilla kind of trailing the boat in the water was just like, oh, I was like, no, I was like, I can't do it. But yeah, it's just so much fun. It was one of those movies that like you said, you stop paying attention to the subtitles.
Yeah, you do.
In it. I think that it should be nominated for Best Picture. I don't see it winning that, but I do see it winning Best Foreign Film, a foreign speaking film, or that category.
I would
see that.
But the way the Academy is, I don't, because it's a popular brand. And I would hope, but
that movie it's just pure art. It's just an
It is.
art.
No,
Man.
it is. It's the best Godzilla movie I've seen, hands down. And like I said, I've only seen the American versions, but it is the best Godzilla film, and I would say it's the best Godzilla I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Now, I know I got a really good friend in Cody that he's a massive Godzilla fan. He probably would disagree with me, and that's okay because he's seen them all. He knows what he's talking about. I don't. When it comes to Godzilla, I'm just going by what I have seen. But he really liked it as well. So
Yeah.
he said it's the best Godzilla movie that's come out in a long time, though. That's what he did tell me. So
Well, that's our list for 2023.
yeah.
Let us know in the comments on Facebook, on YouTube, or wherever you may watch this. Or I'm gonna try to get this one on the Anchor app, so people can listen to it. But comment, please. Let us know. What was your favorite movie? What was your worst movie of 2023? And also, Brandon, tell them what we got next week.
Next week, as we usually do after Best and Worst, we do our most anticipated films of 2024, which is going to be pretty hard for me to do, but I don't know what's coming at all. So,
Me
except for
neither.
Beverly Hills Cop, I know that's coming, but
I know one movie is coming. That's about it.
I'll have to really research and see what's coming. I look forward to it though. I look forward to that episode every year because we're usually so wrong about what we think is going to be good.
The end of it, like my most anticipated last year or this year compared to what my best and worst was this year. I can't say that Cocaine Bear was on my anticipated, and it is on this list. So
Yeah.
it was true. Scream was on this list. And Scream was on that list, so it made this list. I'm trying to think of some other things that I don't know if I put Guardians on it, but
Yeah, you did. You did.
But it didn't make my list because I forgot that it was a thing.
Yeah, my most anticipated film of the year was Mission Impossible, and I have to say that disappointed. Even though it made my best films of the year list, when it's your most anticipated film, if it's not the top 5, you got to consider it a disappointment in some aspects.
Barbie, and with that being said, Barbie made my most anticipated list, and it wasn't. It made my worst list. But
yeah, I wasn't excited for Barbie at all. So that was probably the biggest surprise of the year for me, that I actually enjoyed it, and I acted like a fangirl, laughing hysterically at Ryan Gosling, but he is the reason why I really liked it. I will say that.
all right. Well, Brandon, what do we want the people to do typically?
What's that?
What do we want people to do?
I try to say it like Eugene Levy in American Pie. What's that? We want you to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Like, share, and subscribe and comment on Facebook and YouTube. And if you got Anchor and you listen to us on Anchor, share it if you can.
Yeah, we're going to try to get back on Anchor. Well, we appreciate you listening, Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey.
Thank you for marking out with us here on the Mark Out Movie Podcast. Have a good rest of the year. It's almost over.
It is.
Be safe.